Kayla raised her phone, smiling with a lion just yards behind her. Then a low growl cut the air. Zulu stood, eyes locked on her, muscles tensed. One step back, a stumble, and then came the scream that silenced the entire park. But what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. But first, let's go back to the beginning. The wind shifted just enough to carry her scent. Zulu stirred. The massive lion, broad-shouldered and ragged with age, had been lying motionless under the acacia tree for nearly an hour. His ribs rose slowly, each breath deliberate, as his amber eyes opened. Not lazy now, but alert. The rustle of grass, the click of a phone camera, the faint rhythm of rubber soles on gravel, all these human things reached him in waves, unnatural vibrations in a space built to imitate the wild. Kayla, still facing Ethan, raised a finger in the air like a stage cue. "Just one shot," she called, grinning. Her voice cracked with adrenaline, not fear. She was still convinced this was her moment. The lion behind her was already standing. Zulu's muscles tensed beneath his golden fur, his front paw sliding forward soundlessly, his gaze locked on the girl now just 25 feet away. He did not roar. He did not crouch. He advanced the way lions do when they aren't hunting, but warning. From the other side of the enclosure, a staff intern named Tasha snapped to attention. Through her binoculars, she saw the unmistakable flick of Zulu's tail. Her clipboard hit the ground. "Code yellow," she whispered into her radio. No one answered. Inside the habitat, Kayla shifted again, this time facing the lion. Her phone dropped slightly. Something, an instinct maybe, finally made her freeze. Zulu was still moving, slow but steady, his eyes fixed not on the camera but on her. Ethan was running now, yelling her name. Jace wasn't far behind, waving his arms toward the security hut, which stood empty, its attendant on a coffee break. Kayla took a step backward. Her foot landed unevenly on a hidden dip in the terrain. She stumbled, hands flying out. The phone clattered to the ground, screen first, in the dust. That sudden motion, the flail of limbs, the burst of startled breath, triggered something ancient. Zulu broke into a full charge. A deep, guttural roar tore through the air like a tremor. The ground beneath Kayla vibrated with it. She tried to scream. What happened next unfolded too fast for her mind to comprehend, but too slow for anyone watching to ever forget. 30 feet had never felt so close, or so far. The incident footage was grainy, captured by a panicked father on a Samsung phone, but the horror was unmistakable. The scream, the chaos, the moment the lion lunged, it played on every screen within hours, muted only by the gasps of news anchors and the collective outrage of an internet gone cold with shock. Kayla Monroe had become a headline, a cautionary tale wrapped in blood and pixels. Inside the staff control room at Redlands Safari Park, the silence was suffocating. Karen Ortega stood with her hands still trembling, clutching the tranquilizer rifle she hadn't been able to fire in time. Her mind looped the final frame she'd witnessed. Kayla's hand outstretched, fingers scraping at the mesh before disappearing into grass that now refused to stay green. Across from her, the park director, David Kilmer, 58, grizzled and graying, stared at the monitor. His face was expressionless, but his jaw was locked tight. His worst nightmare hadn't been a lion escape or a handler injury. It had been exactly this, a thrill-seeker ignoring rules and a predator behaving like one. "This'll shut us down," someone muttered behind him. David didn't answer. His thoughts were already being dragged elsewhere, toward the inevitable legal storm, the PR firestorm, and the impossible question that would echo louder than any roar. Why was that fence still loose? In a quiet corner of the visitor center, Ethan Monroe sat with his face buried in his arms, his back heaving with guilt. Jace paced nearby, his hoodie soaked in sweat, whispering the same phrase over and over. "She just wanted the picture, man. She just wanted the picture." In another timeline, Kayla would have posted a caption, "Beauty and the Beast, but I'm not afraid of either." Instead, her Instagram had gone dark. Thousands flooded the last post she ever made, her sipping iced coffee that morning, with emojis of crying faces, flames, and lions. That night, the park remained under police lockdown. Reporters set up tripods outside the gates while families quietly packed their cars and left. Zulu was tranquilized and separated. No one spoke aloud what everyone was thinking. Would he be put down? But the bigger question, the one no camera could answer, was already spreading like brush fire. Who failed whom? Was it the girl chasing validation? The park that didn't fix a broken fence? The lion acting on instinct? Or all of them at once? And that was only the beginning. The candlelight vigil outside the Monroe family home was small but sincere. Rain fell in a fine, steady mist over Seattle as neighbors stood shoulder to shoulder, shielding candles with gloved hands and silent tears. Inside, Lindsay Monroe stared at the flickering lights through the living room window, her face hollow with sleeplessness. Her daughter's room, still bright with pastel walls and selfies taped to a corkboard, remained untouched. Lindsay hadn't been able to enter it since the call. On national television, her voice cracked as she clutched a photo of Kayla taken just a week before the trip. "She wanted to be seen," she whispered. "And Redlands gave her that chance, then fed her to a monster." That interview went viral. But so did something else. Within 24 hours, a park employee, anonymous, bitter, and scared, leaked internal footage to a journalist. It was shaky, low-res, and silent. But it was damning. The clip showed Kayla giggling near the fence, trying out poses. Ethan's panicked shouts could be read on his lips even without audio. Then came Zulu, then the blur of motion, then the camera dropped. In less than 6 hours, hashtags shifted from hashtag Justice for Kayla to hashtag Darwin Award, and worse, YouTubers dissected every frame. TikTok teens reenacted her last selfie. Reddit threads debated fault in forensic detail. What did she think would happen? Did the lion do anything wrong? Why was the fence unsecured? But none of it compared to what Daniel Sharp, a former Redlands zookeeper, revealed in a live-streamed interview that Sunday night. "Zulu wasn't just dangerous, he had a record," Sharp said, holding up a printed vet report. "He tore apart a handler in Namibia. The park that owned him had him scheduled for euthanasia. Redlands bought him days before that was carried out." He leaned forward, voice tight with disgust. "They said the scars made him marketable. The kids liked the look. He was their prize exhibit." Screenshots of emails followed, internal memos, a directive to install thicker viewing glass for Zulu's pen, but no mention of fixing the broken perimeter fence. Public sentiment flipped. Kayla was no longer the punchline. She was the proof of something darker. A system that put photo ops above safety. A business that weaponized predator appeal to sell tickets. A teenager who paid with her life for someone else's branding strategy. By morning, Redlands Safari Park was trending for the second time in a week. But this time, not for tragedy. For reckoning. The morning Redlands issued the statement. Headlines splashed the news across every major outlet. Zulu put down following teen tragedy. Redlands ends lion's life after public outcry. But it wasn't the death of a lion that captured the public's conscience. It was how little was said. No apology, no acknowledgement, just, for the safety of our staff and guests, Zulu has been put down. Those 12 words were enough to reignite the storm. Ethan Monroe didn't leave the house for 4 days. His parents fielded reporters and grief counselors, but he barely spoke. On the 5th day, he uploaded a video. No edits, no music, no intro. Just him in Kayla's bedroom. Walls painted mint green, Polaroids taped along a string of fairy lights, a stuffed cheetah slumped on the windowsill. In his hands, Kayla's phone. The screen displayed her final selfie. She was half smiling, unaware of the golden blur in the background. Zulu, mid-rise, eyes already locked. She was annoying sometimes, Ethan murmured, eyes puffy and raw. She made dumb jokes, took too many pictures. But she was my sister. She didn't deserve to die. And Zulu, he didn't ask to be born behind fences. He didn't choose to be scary for tourists. He blinked slowly. No one protected either of them. Not really. The video exploded across platforms, 10 million views in 24 hours. By the end of the week, 3 state legislatures introduced a bill, Kayla's Law, proposing mandatory setbacks between the public and carnivore habitats, reinforced perimeter fencing, and penalties for unsafe enclosure designs. At Redlands, change came too late. Karen Ortega, the zookeeper who sprinted toward the alarm that day, handed in her resignation letter quietly. "I believed in education through experience," she wrote, "but I can't be part of a system that builds cages closer to profit than to safety." Daniel Sharp launched Claws Out, a nonprofit dedicated to rescuing big cats from private zoos and roadside attractions. His first campaign? A national database of facilities that had acquired animals with histories of violence and concealed it. As for Kayla, her last image lived on, printed on protest signs, murals, and magazine covers. A girl in a pink hoodie and ripped jeans, holding up a phone and smiling, just seconds before tragedy. But now the photo meant something different. It was no longer a thirst for attention. It was a warning, a mirror, of how beauty can become bait, of how spectacle can breed silence, of how in the wild's shadow we often forget which side of the cage we're truly on.